Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the No Lag Zone. All the fun's going to get started here in a moment, and as most of you know by watching my channel, yes, I'm pre-recording this neat stuff in the alternate filming room. I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to bring your love, your laughter, your energy into what hopefully will be a really, really good show. Don't worry, we're going to get everything started here in about... I wanted to be better with that, but I'm not, so you know this channel. All right. Yeah, I know. My fingers started...
I'm just kind of like, how your finger
situation. Yeah, those two kind of...
They just work together.
Yeah, for me, they did on that one. But hey, guys, we are live. It's Tuesday. And like I said in the little promo thing I put out for this, tonight is going to be entirely different than anything we've ever done here on the show. We're going to talk about what I feel is the number one killer of guys out here on the planet, and, well, ladies too, and a whole bunch of other people. But before we do all that fun stuff, let's just go through the roll like usual. Jersey Ron was first. Sorry, King Ginger, if you turn into this a little bit later. Ron came in really, really early. Billy Rogers, thank you for the comment. There's King Ginger and Bearded Metal Chef. All right. Now, like I always do in everyone that I open these, I like to have my guests introduce themselves. And I'll be honest, if you're part of a certain community, you already know who he is. But Tyson, introduce yourself, bro.
Well, what's going on, everybody? I am Tyson with Faithfully Bearded, Beard Product Reviews. That's right. You know, YouTube, beard products, it's long hair, you know, just kind of evolving as you go, and, you know, pride and passion in family Christ, the YouTube stuff. But even that's kind of, you know, I think okay, that's enough about me for now. Because I'm trying to keep my stuff under control, because I can talk. There's a thing. I can keep talking and take over things.
Gabriel. So. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's like the shortest answer I think I've ever heard you do. Ever. Yeah. You know? But guys, tonight we're going to talk about mental health. I talk about it a lot here on my show, and I thought it's time to dedicate a show just to mental health. But seeing how I have that going, and I got to share this, you guys know that knives are a huge part of my channel as well. Well, I got a brand new one in today. It's based off an old Viking sax. I really loved it with the artwork and whatnot on the handle. What I really wanted, and unfortunately the sheath is a piece of crap, all right? Within 4 minutes, that blade bit me. Seriously, it bit me.
Holy snap. At least your finger's still attached.
Yeah, so within 4 minutes, it owned me. And I can tell you, the tip is really sharp.
It looks it.
But yeah, so for mental health, here I am. I get something brand new in. I'm like, hell yeah, this blade's awesome. Stab. Mother.
Can you do the paper test real quick for us?
The blade's really dull. I've got to run it over some stones. Okay. Some parts on it, and it's really weird. Like from about here down is dull as you wouldn't even believe. And here up, it goes spotty from like really razor to really razor to. So before I get it to a review, I got to get her sharp and put it through some tests.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I figured that's almost a perfect analogy to mental health, because 1 minute everything is going perfect for you, and you never know what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds, 30 seconds, you know, whatever. That's going to make you have that little moment where you're going to be like, all right, now I'm angry. Hulk got a smash. You guys saw I dropped session number 4 today, and that was filmed a week ago after I've stopped going through the weekly stuff that's been pretty much public out there, why I went to counseling and why I sought some help. And I'll be honest with you, there's no stigma to it. There's none. If you need help, go get help, and it's okay. I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, Tyson, but I firmly believe us as guys, we are programmed almost from birth. You have to be this warrior. You have to be indestructible. You cannot show emotion. You cannot cry. You cannot admit failure. You cannot do this. And I think that sets a lot of people up for failure.
I think it's... Sorry, were you opening the door for me?
Yeah.
I think I think you're right. You're 100% right. As kids, you know, we grow up thinking, you know, big manly man, you got to work on cars, you got to be an outdoorsman, you got to do this, you got to do this, and you can't show emotion or feelings. And And I think it puts a lot of pressure on young men, especially to when they do start feeling emotional or anything like that, that they got to suck it up and just move on. And, I think things change. Things have changed in generations. I think our parents' generation, maybe that was a thing because divorce rates were super low. It was mom and dad raising kids. And now
Yeah.
in our generation or my generation, I grew up with a single mom. I learned most of my well-being from a woman. And, I think that doesn't necessarily change who you were, but, or who you are. But when a lot of us my age were raised by single moms or split parents or things like that. And it's even that way nowadays, I mean, I've been raising Aubrey for 7 years now on my own. And, she's going to grow up to be probably tomboy and doesn't know how to braid her hair because I can't do it, so she's going to grow up to be more
Yep.
nerdy and techie because that's what I'm into. She's going to follow along my path. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on young men to be big and manly. And I think that's where we see a lot of kids shut down or a lot of men shut down and not want to talk about it with their buddies or even, in a lot of scenarios, you get together with your buddies and you tell them you're having a hard time with something, and they pat you on the back, suck it up, bro, or,
Yeah, exactly. Quit
it's like,
being a bitch. Suck it
yeah,
up. You're being lame. Move forward. And I giggled when you went braiding hair because I can't. I mean, I can tie paracord, bracelets and everything else. I can get those weaves down, no problem. But when it comes to my daughter's hair, I'm like a monkey in a doorknob. And we'll try to keep that as family friendly as we can. And it's weird that, God, my son's at the age where I've got to have the talk. And it's uncomfortable for both of us because because I too came from a broken home, my talk was a porno being left alone for an hour and a half. And my uncle, after it was done, going, any questions?
How old's the son now that you got to give the talk to?
12.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, he's the voice is changing. He's got hair growing in spots where it hadn't before. He's noticing girls. And I'm like, all right, yay, time to be a dad. Here we go.
It's scary too. Like it's scary being a dad. Being a dad is scary, and it's one of the most rewarding, best things. I would never give it up for anything in my life. But there's times when it is super scary. When they're babies, when they're not feeling good, when they're having an angry fit, or when you walk in the bathroom as they're taking a bath to tell them like, hey, dinner's done, you need to hurry up and get out, and they're only 8 years old and they got full-fledged body hair, and you're just like, what just happened to my baby girl? Like 2 years ago I was helping you bathe and you were fine, and now you're 8 years old and you got hair growing in places that no, it's not time for this yet. You're 8. No. And so, I had to show her how to shave her armpits the other day at 8 years old. And I'm just like, it's just like, okay, this is what we do as a female, like you're going to, and it's sad that you have to think about that stuff. You have to think about, it wasn't, I need to teach her how to shave her armpits for hygiene. It wasn't how to shave her armpits because that's what girls do. It was how to shave her armpits because she came home from school and said a kid was making fun of her for having hair in her armpits. So it's to fit into society because so see, I'm tying this back to mental health. Like you have to protect your children from the things that you see going on at school and things like, okay, she's going to get made fun of for having armpit hair. I guess we're going to speed up the process of getting rid of your armpit hair. Or the vice versa side of that is teaching her how to be big, strong, independent, but she's an emotional kid. She's not the type that's going to stand up to people. She's very emotional. So that was the route I opted for. But
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes into it. School kids are rough these days compared to even when we were in school,
And what they have to go through nowadays with access basically 24/7 to the internet, and that scares the crap out of me because with my son, it's really easy to just don't do this, boy. Here's why. All right, let's move forward. But like with my daughters, I almost feel like I'm too lenient on them in certain areas because I'm scared to like be that dad who's like, don't do this, don't do that, you can't do this. And I don't want to really emotionally scar my kids because I don't need my child going to school and going, Daddy yelled at me. And now we have child protective services here. Why are you yelling at her? Because I don't want her looking at certain parts on the internet.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be careful, you know, like I didn't want to have that conversation with an 8-year-old. I felt like it's way too early to have that conversation. So then I'm Googling, and as I'm typing it in, I'm like, should I really be Googling how old girls are when they get their cycle? Like,
yeah, thank you.
What kind of like because then you're crossing that line of like, wait, you know, like so it's kind of one of those things, and I'm like, I should not be doing this or having this conversation with my child, but you're trying to protect them from the people at school and the things that they're going to go through because you start seeing it happening at school and things and school is completely different now too. You can't swat them on the butt, and like I swatted Aubrey on the butt a year ago, and she's like, "Why did you hit me?" And I'm like, "I didn't hit you. I swatted you on the butt. Let's get it right here because you go to school and teachers, if they're a child says that, I'm like, they have to call DSS. They're required by law to call DSS."
I actually did a video on that in my house for one of my step-parent vlogs with all the open cameras and open mics that I have. Oh yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying, brother.
Yeah, and so you know, and I'm dating a kindergarten, first grade teacher, and she got to call DSS all the time just based off of what kids say. You know, it's like
that explains it. I'm sorry, that explains it. When you said you had a new girlfriend, she's a first grade, second grade teacher. Same mentality. All right, I had to get that shot in there, Tyson. Sorry.
Same mentality. Yeah. Well,
hey, you know,
you can teach a first grader. Yeah, you can teach me. You know.
Yeah, and it's killer how, like you're saying, with mental health and kids, my kids are really out there in certain areas, and it's brutal with school. If you don't fit in with the crowd, you're done.
Yeah. I mean, and it's sad, you know, Aubrey's in third grade and I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, she eats French fries, chicken nuggets, and macaroni and cheese. She sits and plays Minecraft and watches YouTube. But it's just like, it's sad that it has to cross my mind of like, do I need to get her eating healthier? Not for health reasons, for weight reasons, and exercising more because I don't want her to be the kid that gets made fun of at school like I was for being overweight, you know?
Yeah.
And kids are just so brutal. She comes home all the time and says, well, this person called me this or did this. And I'm like, you know, there's a fine line because it's like, I know you're sensitive. You're a sensitive kid. So if somebody says your breath smells like poo-poo, you're going to cry. But at the same time, you have to be careful with that stuff because if it's bothering the kid and they're being open that it's bothering them, what are they not being open about that's being done as well? You know, so then it's so hard because every kid's a little bit different and everybody's a little bit different. They have different mindsets and how they take things. Like one thing to a person being said as a joke or, well, they don't know better, they're a child, could be taken completely different by the next kid that's there, you know?
And that's one of those, like we were talking in the green room, okay? I know you've taken your shots being a YouTuber and you've taken your shots from certain people and I've got mine. But it's like, at what point does that shot get inside your head and start to do damage? You know, and it's really weird how I can only say it like this. I joined the military when I was 17. You program yourself to be a certain way. Basically, in the service, if you're not using the F-bomb, every other word, it's like you're not fitting in, you're not doing things right. And I was watching that Apple movie, Cherry, where kid joins the military and the basic training scenes. I was laughing my ass off because I'm like, that's old home week. But it's weird how you get yourself out of that mindset and get in certain areas and people just going jab, 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 jab. And you try to take the high road. But at what point do you go, yeah, no? You know, and that's struggle.
And that comment, what do you do, Chris Rayner? What's your job? That's
he's an EMT at Baltimore, Maryland. He basically rides an ambo and helps people.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a great topic. I mean, it's like perfect timing. You know, this last Friday, just 4 days ago, was my dad's birthday. and he would have been
Yeah,
60 years old, but
planning on getting there.
He committed suicide, 12 years ago. So it's kind of like, this is just really good timing for all of this topic, because it's definitely it's one of the months that every year it's on my mind, and it's especially close to my heart. But back to what you were saying, Chris, like, yeah, at what point is it, I'm just joking around, giving you crap as a guy, cool, but at what point, when it's like you don't retaliate and you go away and you just walk away, that they keep chasing you, poking you as you're walking away, and they're poking you. There's a line that where it becomes like, okay, fun and games are over. What, like, it's got to stop. And I think it's like that at school too, with kids. And I'm not afraid to go. I'll go straight to Aubrey's teacher. If she tells me something 3 days in a row, I'll message her teacher straight up and be like, okay, 3 days in a row, Aubrey said this. The first 2 days, I let it go because kids will be kids. But 3 days in a row, just want to make you aware. I don't want to be the crazy parent out there, but I also want to know that I want my kid to know that when she comes and talks to me, I'm going to take it serious. I don't ever want to close that door of comfort for her to be able to talk to me about things. And I know it'll change as she gets older, but right now she's open and willing to talk to me. And if she sees me not doing anything, she's going to stop talking to me. I think that's just human nature. So, I want to make sure she knows, like, okay, 3 days in a row, cool. We're going to take this serious. We're not going to let her get bullied, or let her, a boy kiss her or whatever. We're going to address the issue.
Yeah, and I threw Chris's comment up there because what he's seeing is basically there's a huge ride across the board in just overdoses, domestic violence, alcohol abuse, just everything, because of lockdowns and restrictions and everything else. And people just don't have that outlet. It's really weird if you go back and you look, seeing how you're a YouTuber, I'll tell you, go back and look at your timeline when COVID first started. Your watch times are huge because nobody had anything else to do. But now look at them where everything's decreasing across the board. And it's really, oh my God, it's really frightening how people are choosing to do certain areas. And it's like we were just talking a moment ago with that pound. But when you finally retaliate, now you're the bad guy and you're the bully, and the person who's been abusing you is the victim.
Well, and that's why it becomes such a mental game. It's a huge mental game, because not only do you have to sit and take it, but you can't say anything back, because then you become the problem, And so, but I mean, it's like that in everywhere. If you watch NFL, somebody can get away with punching somebody. It's the guy that retaliates that always gets the crap,
Yeah.
That's I think that's part of the problem, is the retaliation, I mean, if you want to simplify it in that terms, I can go around doing whatever I want, and the person that tries to stop me is going to be the one that gets in trouble. That makes no sense, And when you think about it in a kindergarten, first grade level, they don't necessarily think about that. They think about, well, I got to tell the teacher. Well, now they get made fun of for being a tattletale. See, it's such a line of, do I need to tell an adult about this, or am I going to be called a tattletale? Well, it's the same situation with adults. Do I need to talk to somebody about this, or do I become a weak man because I'm telling somebody about this?
Well, and that's what got me. Okay. I'm going to use myself right here. And hey, Dagan, how you doing? And guys, if I don't catch you coming into the chat, please forgive me, because I'm really focused on this topic, because it's something, that's really, really huge for my channel. And Tyson was really cool to come on tonight, and he's got his issues as well, and we've talked about them a lot. But it was funny how with my issue, how a scent brought out something in me that I thought I killed and buried and I'd moved past. But I hadn't, and everything flooded back. And it was really weird how I was very open about, I'm going to get counseling, I'm going to get help, I can't do this. And instantly people are like, you're weak, you're lying, you're bullshit, fuck you, fuck your channel, fuck this. I'm like, huh. And you wonder why people don't talk to you. And you wonder why friendships die. And you wonder why things go, Yeah, Bobby, not a problem, brother. Whenever you're ready, we'll work you in, And it just...
Well, and I think that's that's just this world and the society nowadays too. Is like you have to pick, you have to be on a side, and if you're not on a side, you're it's politics. You got to be on a side. You can't, and it's more prevalent now than ever. Is you have to if you're a Democrat, you got to believe all the Democrat policies. You can't like any of the Republican policies.
Yeah.
If you're Republican, you have to be 100% in on all their policies, and well, it's the same way with everything in life. And it's like, I don't know if this is like what's causing this trend, but it seems like that's just the trend that's getting worse and worse every month that takes by. Is like you have to pick a side. You can't be one way or another. You have to do something, and you have to make your opinion known and clear. But once you pick a side, then if you don't agree 100% in that area, you're now booted out of that side. It's like, a Republican goes and it's like, well, I really like this Democratic policy. Well, now all the Republicans don't like him.
His thing was perfect.
Yeah, you're right. And they jump to get medication on a lot of things. I think there's a lot of medications out there that mess with us more than they actually do good.
And it's funny how you put that, Chris. An open ear is the best medicine. The beard practitioner, Andy, him and I, we had a live feed talk. Well, an Instagram live chat. And it's really funny how I was beating my own ass and killing myself over this whole instance of, is this kid mine? Is this not mine? What's going on here? What's not going on there? And it's making me break. And he asked me 3 simple questions. And when he asked me that, it wasn't coming from a place of judgment. It was coming from a brother. And it changed everything in 30 fucking seconds. And Tyson, I agree, and I've said it repeatedly. Tribal politics is destroying everything. Because we're in the beard community, me being in the knife community. If I want to like Johnny Slicks over Ready Man Grooming, I should be able to say I like Johnny Slicks. If I like Gerber blades over CRKT blades, I should be able to say that and not get pure, unmitigated hate.
Well, it's the same way with Apple or Android. If you come out and say, I'm an Apple fan, I have an iPhone, and I have a MacBook, and I have this, like, the Android people come out of you're gonna get best friends made because you have an Apple, and you're gonna get enemies made because you have an Apple. And it's the same way with Android. Well, if I'm an Android guy, cool, me too. But the people that have Apples, like, all of a sudden now you're not cool, because you don't have an Apple. And it's becoming more and more prevalent. I keep going back to kids, and I think it's just because that's just the world that I'm facing a lot of right now is kids. And, it's like when they're coming home from school and they're like, well, all my friends have phones and, I don't have a phone. You don't need a phone, like, what do you need a phone for? But it's like one of those things where you almost have to conform to what everybody else is doing to just be accepted. Really, just to be accepted, you have to do what everybody else is doing. And I think that's just, it's really kind of stood out over the last couple of years to me, is like, if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, you're wrong. And it's like, that's not any sort of leadership anywhere in that, in my opinion. It makes people have to do things that isn't them. It isn't what they really feel and want to do. It's making them do that to be accepted rather than actually just doing what they want to do or what they feel, how their feelings are, how their emotions are.
And I mean, I get acceptance is a powerful thing. And I've never believed anybody who's like, I don't care if I'm accepted or not. Fuck everybody. Fuck this. Fuck BS. There is nobody I know who gets up in the morning and goes, thank God I'm alone. Yes. Nobody likes me. Hell yeah. Nobody does it. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing that teenagers are growing up looking for is I mean, maybe not the whole thing, but I mean, you go to college, you get your education. After that, you're kind of starting your education and you're looking for your family. You're looking for your spouse that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And so, I mean, you're always looking for acceptance. And I don't think anybody wakes up, like you said, like, meh, I'm happy to be alone. Yeah, this is great. I don't have any friends, family, or a spouse. This is awesome. Yeah, I don't think there's very few people in this world that want to be that way. We're humans. We're supposed to be in community. That's what we were born to do. Be in
it,
community with other people.
it
And
drove
they
me.
don't all have to be the same people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it drove me insane when I worked for Kroger in their call center. I worked graveyards. So on my days off, I kept the same shift. So my body was ready for that next round of work. So my weekends were Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And when you're getting out of bed at 7 o'clock at night, that's not prime dating hours,
No.
you know? And I was in Portland, Oregon, which has more adult oriented businesses per capita than Vegas.
Oh, wow.
There was a strip club 2 blocks from my house. So, all right, crap. I guess I'm going to the nudie bar for breakfast. Shut the nudie bar down, come home, drink until you pass out, repeat the process the next night, go to work. And that was my social interaction, was work. Because you really can't count the nudie bar as social interaction because you're paying them to talk to you. You know?
Well, and that was kind of mine too. Well, not that scenario. I guess I shouldn't relate too much, but after my first divorce, and I took Aubrey, and it was the single dad of a 2-year-old, and new job, new town. It was just like my social life was my work. I went to work. I went home with my 2-year-old. I mean, you're not communicating with a 2-year-old in any sort of terms other than wipe your face and let me change your diaper,
Exactly.
So it's like, that is your social life. That's your social life. And you kind of become accustomed to that. But in that, you need adult interaction. You need adult communication. And, I was super depressed, and it wasn't because I just went through a divorce. It was because I was lacking interaction with people. My only interaction came at work. After that, it was I sat at home because I didn't have daycare. I'm raising a child, so you get a lot of weight put on your shoulders of like, okay, cool. Now I got to take care of this child and myself and run this business, and I'm doing it alone. Like reality kind of sinks in, and it affects people for a while. And it's not depression. And when you get depressed and when you get sad, it's not one of those things where it's like, I think a lot of people try to put a Band-Aid over it of like, you hear retail therapy and things like that. And I think, yeah, that makes you happy in the moment, but what's going to make you, you go out and you do something like that, and then the next day, you're right back to being lonely, and, now you lead to more problems like financial troubles or, anything, bad decisions. It all starts piling up. And
it's funny how you mentioned Band-Aids, because society, we use a lot of them. And before I get there, Eric, I'm not saying it wasn't good being there, but you could almost get the same experience with an Egg McMuffin sitting in front of a porn and throwing 20s at your screen. I'm just saying, bro, after a while, it got old. But I mean, you talk about Band-Aids, hell, I'm throwing myself under the bus right now. We all know I drink. Okay, I drink 2 days a week now if I have any alcohol, and that's on the weekends because my better half is home. She takes care of all the kids, and I sit right here in what is my bedroom. I'll watch stuff on the laptop, stuff on my iPad, and just do shots until I fall asleep. Is it healthy? No. Is it good for me? No. And it's a Band-Aid to sit and go, okay, well, I'm depressed where I'm at right now. I need to make changes. Or some people use drugs. Some people use adult entertainment. Some people just create this whole little fantasy world for themselves, and they live inside it. These little Band-Aids that we put over the problem, instead of looking at the problem and going, how can I change this? Because from personal experience this last month, I thought I lost everything. I did. I thought my YouTube career was done. I thought everything was coming to an end. I thought everything was done. But it's amazing how when you can get broke, how you can find beauty in that and rebuild yourself by being broken.
Yeah. And it's like, I think you've opened the door for a few things just in this last 2 sentences. And it's
Bring them.
When we think about things like, you're putting a Band-Aid on something, you're not fixing the real issue. And I think a lot of times we don't know what the real issue is. We don't know. I was just sitting at home, and, my therapy, my Band-Aid really was playing on the internet and working out, and it became an unhealthy working out to where I was sitting on my indoor bicycle riding 150 miles a day because I had nothing better to do with my time. It was too much. And then you develop all sorts of other issues, and it's like I didn't really realize at the time that that's a band-aid, that I was doing that to pass time and keep myself busy and keep my mind occupied. Was it healthy? Sure, it was exercise, but looking back at it now is like it was a band-aid, and I didn't understand at the time what the root cause of the issue was. And I think that's the biggest, like, the big point here that I'm trying to make is you can't fix things with band-aids. You have to figure out what the root cause is. But a lot of times as we're going through these things, we don't know what the root cause is. And we're not thinking like, what is the root cause of this? Well, I had a stomach ache today, and it must have been because I ate
Hey,
something
Brian.
bad or because I had to poop, like, it's things like that. But maybe there's something more serious going on because I've had a stomach ache 4 days in a row. You don't actually think about what the root cause of things are. And I think that's what happens a lot of times with depression, and I've talked a lot about depression and things, suicides and stuff in my family.
Yeah,
And
we're going to get there because I got a big question for you here in a moment, and
okay,
I want you to continue with this. But Waltimus, I am doing awesome, brother. Seriously, I am a hell of a lot better than I was 5 weeks ago. It's amazing what can happen when you start to rebuild yourself, and that's a huge reason why I wanted to do this show tonight. And I am privileged. Tyson's with me because he's got one hell of a story, and we're going to touch on that in a moment.
yeah, sweet. I'm excited. What's up, everybody coming in? We're getting some people coming in here. If I miss you, sorry. But yeah, so I mean, it's just, I think we need to take more time to stop and analyze where we're at and what the root cause with actual issues are, and we're going. And like Eric is saying, it definitely helps to talk to somebody. If you have
Yeah,
somebody that's willing to listen and have an ear, and I think
Johnny.
from like personal things that have happened in my life, just from
Dragon.
experiences I've had, is it's nice to talk to people, but at the same time, talking to people usually ends up in more shit starting, excuse my language, but it
I've
usually
sworn it
ends up in
off,
more
so
because it's a very hard practice nowadays to find somebody that just wants to listen and isn't going to take exactly what you say and go all over the place with it, and that's where, family, close friends, things like that come into place. But you really have to have a trust level there with those people too. And I think a lot of times we struggle to trust people with our personal issues, and then again that leads into not
well,
talking about them.
yeah, and that circles back to everything where
Yeah,
I almost feel like, like we were doing in the green room. I'm like, okay, well, between you and me, I'm like, it almost feels like you have to say batteries not included with almost everything. And then like you open up about something and you wait to get burned in the ass. But I can say, and I can vouch for this man right down here. I have talked to him about some pretty deep stuff when I was pretty fucked up. And he sat and he listened. He didn't judge. He didn't do anything dumb. He was just there for me. And hey, Pete White, you ain't late, bro. You're right on time. We're still going. You're here. Thank you for stopping in, man.
and I've experienced that personally, where you're like, okay, I got a personal demon that I'm facing. I trust somebody. I'm going to talk to him about it. Then that person goes and tells somebody else, who then goes and tells somebody else, and it turns into this whole big dramatic affair. And it's turned into, like, I don't even like to talk to anybody. And this isn't anything against anybody. It's more so I'm scared to talk to anybody
Yes.
in the beard
Yes.
community or online or that anywhere realistically that doesn't live in my household, because once you get burned so many times, you just stop talking to people. You're just like, I don't know who I can talk to that's just going to sit and listen. That's just going to sit and listen and take it for what it is. And I think a lot of times that's what people need. They just need somebody to sit and listen and let them vent it out. And they're not even always seeking advice or you to go do anything or you to agree with them. Even a lot of times they just want to speak and get it verbalized out of their body instead of, okay, I told you this, now what are you going to do about it? Like, and I think that's part of the problem that we have in today's society is we think like, okay, I told you something, what are you going to do about it now? Well, how are you going to fix it? And it's like, that's not how it needs to even be or go. It just needs to be like, I need to verbalize something. Just let me verbalize it. And sometimes just verbalizing something out loud helps somebody realize, like, wow, that's completely not what I was thinking, but I don't know how to say it like I'm thinking. So I guess I'm just an idiot. You know, like, so a lot of times you correct your own self when you actually speak it out loud to somebody. Like, okay, wow, that was stupid, you know?
And I get that. And I love that. And I've got a very, very close brother that I met by basically picking on his YouTube videos, and we've become family. And it's amazing how he'll call, and I'm like, what's up? He's like, are you sleeping? You got a moment? I'm like, just give me 1 sec. All right, go. You know, or I can call him and I go, I got to vent. Shut the fuck up. Let me vent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he does it, and he's like, all right, let's talk about this video game. You know? And Eric, I will tell you point blank, Marine, the only thing I'm judging you on is you have yet to tell me your favorite flavor of crayon. That's it. Other than that, get some, devil dog.
What's up, Pete? How you doing, man? I hope you're doing well.
And I mean, it kills me where, God, this is about the only way I can say it. We're all damaged. We're all fucked up. You know, we all have our baggage that we bring into everything. You know, if I believed everything I heard about my better half, I didn't ever dated her. And what scared me is she knew my family. Yeah. She used to date my ex-brother-in-law. You know, and she helped me out of a very, very bad situation. You know, and we've been together ever since. You know,
and Casey just made a comment that I relate to very, very, very much because A, I love that show. B, like it just instantly hit with me like the very first episode of that show. It's just like when you talk about having like a servant's heart, and you know, we take all sorts of personality tests and stuff at work and all that stuff, and it always comes back to I'm a servant. And you know, that's like one of the biggest things is like, okay, you got a problem, how can I help? And it solves so many things because it's like if you literally walk up to somebody and they have an issue, it's like, how can I help? They're either going to tell you directly how you can help them, or they're going to say, you know what, I don't think you can. And then it's like there's, you know, a lot of times they recognize themselves of like, nobody can help. Like, this isn't, I don't even know what I'm complaining about because there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it is. So I love that show, and
I'm gonna have to go check it out. I keep
watches it, but it's a great thing. It's a great motto. You know, is just people got issues, instead of judging or anything like that. It's like, how can I help you with this? You know, and they're either going to give you an idea of how to help, or they're going to let it alone.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, Brian, you're just saying that as a kid, how much that carries forward. You know, like when I joined the military, I think I was 119 pounds and this same size head. All right. So basically, yeah, I was a lollipop going through basic training. And it's amazing how that motivation from people going, you're never going to make it, you're going to fail, you're going to come home, we're going to laugh at you, we're going to destroy you, got me through basic training. You know, when I showed up and the drill sergeants were going berserk and they're like, it's not affecting you. I'm like, do you know my mother? Please keep going. This is like summer camp, which I probably shouldn't have said on day one because, well, the next 2 months were a little bit more interesting than they should have been.
A little more intense then.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, again, it is like the society that we live in nowadays, and the way that everything affects everybody, you know. And personal story, literally just yesterday, our 12-year-old comes and starts talking about dieting because of a self-conscious issue caused by our 8-year-old saying, you're fluffy. So it's like that resonated in the mind of like, okay, I'm getting made fun of, or I'm getting teased. I got to do something about this. It was 100% to not get teased, not because she really wanted to, you know? And I think that translates more into how this society really is. We get pressured to do things, or we get made fun of for not doing things, or for not being certain things. So then we join in just so we don't have to take that heat, or we do this. And, you know, like you said, we all the older we get, the more baggage we have. Nobody's perfect. Everybody's made mistakes. And I mean, when I first met, well, I mean, I've known my girlfriend forever, but when we first started really talking seriously, it was just like we just sat and laundry listed. Like, here's all my baggage. Here you go.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're gonna find out at some point anyway. And realistically, like, I'm not ashamed of it. We all got baggage. I'm 35 years old. I'm through 2 divorces. I got a kid. I mean, man, I've had financial issues. I've had the same job forever, and I've had multiple jobs before that. I've made stupid decisions. I'm not the best parent in the world. I've had an up and down Christian life. I've been in jail. I mean, it's just like, here you go. You're gonna. Like, I would rather just, you know what, and we're better, best friends, better relationship than I've ever been in, and she can say the same thing, and we both come into it laying out our baggage because everybody has it, and you have to understand that people have pasts, and the older they get, the bigger mistakes, the more mistakes, and it just continues to pile up. But we still have to accept what's going on for today, not for 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 2 months ago. Like, what is happening today to with the person I'm talking to? And you know what? Even you and I, we didn't talk a ton right away, and then we started talking, and then we had a miscommunication, and we kind of stood off from each other again, and then we started talking again, and we still don't talk every single day either, but we also respect each other, and we understand what each other is going through with things, and I think we have a new outlook, just in the last year on who each other are as people and what's actually goes on.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, because I had one issue, and I called you about it. And we talked about it, and it was basically squashed right there. But I want to address Dragon here, and it's amazing how the people get to know you and can be there and help you that are not currently in your life. Like you're saying, your ex-wife, and that's just cool that you can be on good terms with an ex. I've always tried to stay on great terms with every ex-girlfriend I've ever had after a breakup, not because, hey, I want to date you again and let's be friends. No, it's, you saw something in me. I don't really want to lose that friendship. So, it's kind of cool. And Corey, brother, welcome in. Tonight's conversation was well overdue. I've been wanting to hold something like this for a while, and it was finally time to get it done, So welcome in, brother. And yeah, Eric, I can speak plainly for him. He is very open about his issues and what he's gone through. And that has helped me draw strength when I have a brother out there he's suffering, he's going through things, and he's reaching out and he's going, let's talk, let's do this. And it's like, wow, with everything you still have going on, you're still helping. That's freaking awesome.
Well, and that's the solid people right there. Like, if you listen to Eric, he's so open about it. Like, what he's been through, but he's still there to help anybody out. And that's just like, he's going through a lot on his own, but yet still willing to help other people, and that's that itself is just a very respectable quality. But I also feel, I was thinking about this the other day, and I had a whole conversation about it because I think we are in a stereotypical type of world, and we stereotype a lot of things just by looks, and the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. We've heard that since we were all kids.
Yeah.
And yet I think it's worse than ever is stereotyping people. And as bearded men, we all get stereotyped at some point or another. We've all been stereotyped. But, the one things that I've noticed over the last little bit is like, I'm sitting in church, and through COVID, our church staff has changed a million times. And it's just like, you see somebody in the lobby that you've never seen before, and you don't put they're not put together. They got long hair. They have a beard. They got piercings. They got tattoos, and you're just kind of like, oh, cool. It's good to see them here. And then you go into service, and you get up there, and it's the worship pastor. Like, it is the actual pastor, and he's got an amazing voice. And I've seen that like 4 times now over the last month, and it's really hit home with me of like, we are in such a society that we see people with tattoos, piercings, beards, maybe weird clothes, and we don't correlate them with being a good person or a great person or anything like that. We just automatically see them, and we're just like, yep, they've been through a lot of crap in their life, and they probably are still going through some. That's just
Well,
the mindset that I feel like most people are in this world, and it's really sad.
and that's an amazing point, because one of the best roommates I ever had when I was living in Portland, Oregon, I had to move into his apartment. It was like one of those, all right, well, I'm going to pay half of whatever, get whatever. All right, I'm still trying to get my shit together. The guy's been to prison. He has multiple felonies. He's done some screwed up stuff, but he was turning his life around, but still you sit and you go, multiple felonies. You're out on parole or probation, whatever you want to call it. It's like you start going through things in the back of your head, but the way he lived his life, he was straightforward about everything. You could talk to him about anything, and it died right there. He wasn't judgmental with you, which is a lesson I brought forward into my kids, which is something I've been building up this question with you all night, but I'm going to get there. I'm scared shitless being a step parent, because it's not just my kid. It's another guy's kid that I'm helping raise. Now, granted, those donors haven't been in their life at all. For my daughter, the last time she saw her donor, she was 2 months old. My kids know, like on the weekends, we go through our cycles. We go to Walmart, we get whatever groceries, whatever we're going to need for the week. We come home. If mommy's got to work that night, because sometimes she has to work Saturdays, we know daddy's got dinner. But if mommy doesn't have to work, I tell my kids, daddy gets to drink right now. Please don't mess this up, because if mommy gets mad at you, mommy's going to come yell at me. And if mommy yells at me for something I'm not doing, I got to come yell at you.
Yeah.
And that's not going to go well, because as some of you may have seen in live feeds, Chris and alcohol and anger, not a good thing.
No.
It's not.
It's like oil and water. They don't mix.
Pretty much.
And and I mean, that's something that, at 35 years old, we've, okay, one thing real quick. Brian said he hopes that we can meet up soon. I will be in Denver in like 3 weeks for a weekend. So if anybody in Denver area wants to meet up, just hit me up in DMs and we'll figure it out. But, or maybe it's like a month. I don't know. When are we going to Denver? And end of May, something like that. But, so anyway,
nice. But no, here's the thing. I want to get this out, because I think we're at the right time. You mentioned your dad with your suicide. It scares me at times, because I know that can carry down, that trait, that gene, whatever you want to call it. I personally do not believe that your genetic code is written the day you are born. Everything about you is already decided. But do you ever have that fear, especially when you were single for a while, that Tyson's had a bad day, Tyson's going to start a shotgun, now Aubrey's alone?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm only asking that because you've been very open about the emotional baggage you have had.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, not necessarily to that extent. I mean, I think we get depressed, and I think just having been through, watching my dad take his life, and my uncle and my grandpa, and just the effects it has in the family around that, and so my biggest thing that is like weighed on my heart and in my mind from the day that I went through my first divorce with Aubrey's mom was, I cannot let this happen. I cannot let this happen to me or to her. And
Good.
that's just been such a big focus. And that's where, because I think, I don't know that anybody realistically knows if it's genetic or not genetic as far as suicide and depression that can cause that. I think there is a depression gene at some point, and I don't have enough knowledge to medically talk about any of that stuff. But the fact that there's 9 suicides in my dad's side of the family leads me to believe that there is something genetically that can be passed down. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, it's always been it's always been something conscious in my mind. It's always been something that I stray away from, and it's something that I will very openly talk about. And 5 years ago, probably not. Today, it is something very much that I will openly talk about, of like, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling sad, I'm not caring about things. We need to talk. Just talk to me, listen to me,
Yeah.
let it be, like, because I can feel it. I can tell when I get in that zone, and it realistically is a zone. People get in a zone of where you stop caring about things. You just blah. You feel like a robot. You're just kind of going through. You're always tired, and I can have weeks like that, and I can let them go on all week long. And this lady sitting over here will be the first to attest. Like, I can let it go for a week, and then all of a sudden it's like I just spill it all out and talk. And I'll talk for a full day and I'll be fine after that. And I think it's a very conscious thing that people don't necessarily want to talk, or they don't like to talk, or they don't want to try to, or maybe they can't express what they're feeling. And I think this is why suicide is still not a curable thing, because we don't know, when my dad committed suicide, yes, there was a tragic event beforehand. We had a lot of rain and his property flooded, but that was a couple weeks beforehand. And we had spent every day together cleaning up his property and doing things. And I talked to him on the morning that he committed suicide, and he seemed 100% fine to me. We talked about football. We had a fantastic, normal conversation. So I think sometimes it's like, in a scenario like mine, is like, okay, I can feel when I'm getting down and I need to address it. But I'm also very, very, very aware of my feelings and what I'm going through, because I'm so determined to stop the trend in our family. And but I think a lot of people are down, they're not talking about it, and something happens to just trigger it and push it over the edge enough to where nothing else matters but being gone, but being done, having this over with. It's too much to handle, can't do it.
Yeah.
And so they resort to that. And I would say that's probably what happened, with my dad. I don't know. But I mean, more so to answer your question is like, yeah, there's been a lot of things for me. I think I'm very strong and good at pushing through BS and not letting it get to me. But I think the driving factor behind that is, and this is something I think about on the every single day basis, is if I disappear today, I have no idea where Aubrey would end up. I have no clue, because her birth mom has legal parental rights, but hasn't physically seen her in 5 years, hasn't been in her life.
Yeah, that's not good.
In 7 years. It's like, she is not going back to her. And I know my mom would step up and say, we're not doing this, but you don't know how a judge is going to play it out. If they both show up to court, mom usually gets the right. And it's something that's just like, I can't let anything happen to me. And I think it puts a lot of stress on, if you're a single dad out there and things like that, or even, for you, it puts a lot of stress on you, because you feel like, I got to make sure that I'm 100% good, not only mentally, but physically, because if something happens to me, now this little bean, our biggest thing right now is, I don't want her to go back there. I don't want her to go to her mom, because her mom, literally, I just found out the other day. This is a whole nother thing. Like, I just found out the other day, her mom lives 2 blocks from us. And I just found out the other day. And she knows where we live. She's had our address. So that fact, and the fact that you don't even reach out and attempt to see your kid, no way. And God's green earth am I ever going to let her go back to her.
See, and I can relate to that 100%, because I remember the very last thing Caden's donor said to me. No man is going to raise my child but me. And I told him to his face, fucking do it, and I won't have to.
That's right. I mean, I don't think... I think there is some step parents that have bad intentions, but I think there's some step parents that are majority of step parents come into it of, I'm not here to be your parent. I'm here to be a parental figure and to help steer you right. But I'm not here to replace your dad or replace your mom.
Thank you.
I'm here to be a parental guidance. But realistically, I'm here for your parent, because I want to spend the rest of my life with them. You kind of just come with it until you're 18 and beyond as a guiding, as a have more wisdom guiding figure. But I think there is situations like, I would love for somebody to come in and say, I mean, and I have for a long time, of like, I love Aubrey and I want to be that person, and there's legal processes to make that happen. It's called adoption. Like, you can make it happen, but at the same time, you don't just willy-nilly, like, got to go find somebody to be Aubrey's mom. Like, that's not the first thing you think about. It's like the first thing that I got to think about is I got to find the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And if that
Be well, Bobby.
relationship develops, then that develops. But I don't think anybody ever, I mean, I'm sure some people do, but coming into a relationship thinking like, huh, coming in, I'm going to sleep with your mom and I'm going to be your dad, you know, like, you don't ever want to replace a parent. They already have one. But like you said, do your job and I don't have to, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, Eric, I agree with that 100%, bro. I've said repeatedly in lots of videos and lots of other stuff, my children saved my life. They really, truly did. I don't know who I would be right now if I hadn't met my better half and had those kids in my life.
Well, I mean, there's so many things that the kids can affect and change in your life, and I doubt I could count on my 10 fingers and my 10 toes how many times Aubrey saved my life. I don't know. I mean, there's probably tons because I've been through 2 divorces. I mean, depression comes with that stuff. I've been through other breakups. I mean, and you've been through drama, but you know, so how many times do they subliminally save your life that you don't even think about? But then the fact of what do they do for your life? If Aubrey wasn't in my life, I wouldn't be dating who I'm dating because it just happens to be a teacher that Aubrey had at one point. I never would have met her if Aubrey wasn't around, you know? So it's like, not only do our children save our lives multiple times throughout their years, but they also introduce us to future things in our lives as well. That doesn't make it any easier when you think about it that way. It still doesn't make it easy. I mean, step parenting and parenting in general is hard, but there's multiple facets of it that are beneficial and multiple things that are extremely hard about it. But, you know, like Eric said, like, who knows where we would be at or if we'd even be here if we didn't have kids, especially guys. You know, we like to do stupid stuff. We like to drive like idiots and we like to be dangerous and reckless. And I think a lot of that calms down a little bit, you know, I mean, hell, before I had kids, I was jumping vehicles in the forest for fun because I thought it was cool and, you know, getting into car wrecks and driving drunk and all sorts of stuff. But
before my kids came in my life, I was the dipshit in the nudie bar all the time, spending checks he shouldn't have been spending, thinking he was cool. You know, now I have my kids and lots changed. I can't look at things that way anymore because I'm like, that's somebody's daughter. You know, yeah. I'm like, I'm a parent now, damn it. You know?
Yeah, a lot of things change when you become a parent. And I think a lot of people that are in their mid-30s and have a preteen or maybe a 5 to 14-year-old can probably think of many, many, many times where it's like, I was not ready to birth you when you were born, but holy crap, I matured quick through the first 3 years, you know, because I think anybody that is in this age range and has a kid that age, we weren't mature when we had those kids. We weren't ready to have kids. But they push you to grow and to be better. And you know, realistically, something to be thankful for that I don't think a lot of us look back at and think too much because we're too busy in the hard parts of parenting, which is every single day.
True. In Dragon, I have a very similar experience, brother. Really. I did not let my son call me dad. I had him call me Chris because I didn't want him thinking when I first met him that everybody who dates mommy is dad. He had his donor. He had the guy before me who was trying to be his daddy, so I made him call me Chris. When we moved up here to Washington State, he walks in the room we were staying in, and he goes, Chris, I have a question for you. I'm like, okay, what is it, bud? And he goes, will you be my dad? And yeah, that was one of those, all right, get out, come back in 5 minutes. So you could sit there and be like, oh my God, that little bastard, I love him. Ah! You know, you're like, all that stuff going through your head. And when he came back in, I was like, all right, ask me again. And he did. And I was like, buddy, before I answer you, you need to know everything is going to change. I'm not going to be Chris. I'm going to be dad. I'm going to be the guy who needs to get you through life, guide you, help you, just do all this stuff. It's not going to be fun, but I'm going to be there for you. And he asked, and well, the rest is history, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Kids are just so weird in general and trying to figure out how they're thinking and stuff. And you would think, you know, talking about a question everybody always asks me Well, not everybody, but people have asked me before, like, does Aubrey ever ask about her mom? And it's like, yeah, surprisingly, no, she never has. She's 8 years old and just hasn't asked that question of like, she has zero struggle with who's my mom or anything mom related. There is like absolutely zero. And so it's like, so then I'm thinking like, okay, is that going to happen? Is that going to hit? Is that going to be this big meltdown, this big, like, she's going to fall apart over this whole thing? And I've been waiting for that for years and it just never happens. And I think I think just at the young age of it just being her and that's just what she's accustomed to. She's asked about like mom stuff before, but
Yeah.
it was weirder for me to shave her armpits than her to go through it, because for me it was just like, it wasn't even weird that it was my kid. It was weird that it's my 8-year-old daughter and I'm a guy and it's the new thing. Like, I'm not ready for her to go through that stuff yet. Like, she's too young, so it's like the letting, like, oh, my baby girl's growing up type of thing, rather than.
I'm right there. The brat, my middle one, and she chose her nickname, everyone, as you all know. All right. She's getting to that age. She's maturing a little early. And she confessed that to the better half over the weekend. And I'm like, I wish it was a better moment than this, but you guys who know me will get this. I went, I'm too sober for this fucking discussion. Talk to me after about 8 shots. And I'm sitting downstairs with a bottle, and I'm like, my daughter's going to be going through puberty. Oh, my God. Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's like if you ever use my beard clippers, you're going to need to find a new place to live.
Pretty much. Andrew, how you doing, brother? I mean, it's fun going through the shave stuff with the boy because he likes experimenting with certain things. That sounds wrong, but you guys know what I mean. All right. So when you're talking with your daughter and it's like, oh God, all right, look, just move along, get in your room, go change, go dry off.
Yeah.
Because everything is now dramatically changing where now you're becoming a woman. This bullshit's done,
Well, and I mean, it makes you self-reflect a little bit too, because like the first self-reflection I had when that happened was, okay, she's 8. Cool. It's a little early, but it's happening. So get on board. The first like self-reflection I had is she doesn't even brush her own hair. I still sit and brush her hair every night after her bath. But now, not only am I going to be brushing her hair, I'm going to be shaving her armpits. Like, where did I go wrong as a parent here? Like, I got to get this kid brushing her own damn hair, like I can handle brushing her. I can handle, okay, I'm not going to brush her armpits. I can handle shaving her armpits at 8 years old. Like, we'll figure that out and teach her. But like, that's where it hit me of like, I still brush your hair every night. Like, you're still my little girl. Now we're going to have daddy-daughter bonding time of shaving your armpits. No.
I've got a son who's experimenting with himself. And after about 20 minutes in the shower, you got to pound on the door and go, I know what you're doing in there. You know what you're doing in there. Don't embarrass the both of us if I have to open this door right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you went from taking 2-minute showers to there's no way you use shampoo and conditioner and body soap to now you're in there for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, there ain't enough shampoo and conditioner to go around to take a shower that long. So we know what you're doing, You're running hot water out.
Yeah, dude, I love the look in his face when he comes out of the bathroom. Sorry, Daddy. I'm like, just stop. I'm like, I understand it's going to be your favorite toy for the rest of your life, but can you make it less obvious?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's we haven't experienced that yet, and I'm not ready to. No, I don't. No.
It's not fun. Okay. And this goes back to mental health. My better half has 6 kids, all right? And the oldest is in her mid-20s. When I first met her, she was sexting, and she wasn't understanding what she was talking about. And it's one of those that we had to check her phone. And I'm like, am I going to get grossed out reading this and thinking about all the dumb stuff I've done in my life and all the escapades and everything I've done? And now here's this girl in front of me who's like 16, and you're like, do you really know what that position is? Do you really know what this is? Matter of fact, don't answer that. Just stop this.
Yeah. Well, You know, we got the 12-year-old that's asking questions like coming home from school, like, "What's a blowjob?" You know, and it's like, okay, so my whole mindset with all of that is like, I'm not going to be awkward. Like, you asked a question, I'll give you a blunt but not graphic description. You know, and whether that's right or not, I don't know. My parents never talked about that stuff with any of us kids, and we always looked at it as like this off limits bad type of thing. And I
Once
think
again,
it causes kids to go behind their parents' back and do it.
go
I
back to
think,
my first experience. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, I think, you know, and so it's like, I don't know what the necessarily right way or wrong way is. I'm just trying it opposite of my parents because I got into a lot of trouble
Yeah,
that
dragon
because I felt like
don't
it was
need
a naughty thing.
girls.
And it's like,
See the gray dragon? That's because
yeah.
of girls. No
Well,
girls.
I'm getting gray too. Like I'm getting a lot coming in here. My beard just does good on camera.
Yeah, whatever you dye that crap. A little bit of cremo dye.
Yeah. Oh, it's
All
got
right, man.
grays.
We've been hammering the heavy stuff for about an hour, so let's switch it up to something a little bit lighter, okay? We're going to go back to some updated lightning round questions for Tyson.
Oh, cool. Lightning
Ready to
round.
have a little fun?
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's do it. Chicken, steak, pizza. No, pineapple sucks on pizza. Do not do it.
Okay, well, let's just shorten this down a little bit, all right? Anything with food, he's going to eat. He's going to shovel it down that throat. We all
And
know
I'm gonna
he's part
retain the
boa
belt that
constrictor.
no one will challenge me for.
No, I saw sober chef Eric go and he wants to challenge you to a burrito eating contest when you go out to Denver.
Oh yeah.
Eric, I'm going to say it like this: when you take your shot at the king, you better put him down.
Somebody's got to.
But no, here's kind of like the updated ones. Okay,
All right.
so
Let's do
your
this.
opinion: what is the most overrated men's grooming company on the market?
Oh man, overrated. I don't necessarily feel like many are overrated. I think they all have their place. If we were gonna go overrated, the first thing I think of is I think of two things: either overpriced for what the product actually is, or way too hyped up for what the product is. And so, man, sorry, Banholes. I love you. You're a great guy. I just don't like the prices on the products. I think the products are good. I think it's one of those things where they can charge it and get it because people buy it.
Makes sense. All right.
I think the products are fantastic. Nothing against Beer Brand at all. Nothing against Eric. Him and I are tight. We're good. But like, the prices are high for what it is, I feel like.
I get that. Now flip that around. What's the most underrated company in your experience?
I'd say most underrated is Renewed Man. That one's pretty easy because I think you have a fantastic owner, and I think when you think of scents, there's an ample amount of scents where everybody can find one, and the feel and beard for me is just fantastic. The artwork, the presentation's fantastic. So, Renewed Man is underrated.
All right.
So is Damn Yankee though. Damn Yankee is really underrated too, and I think it's because when you look at both of those companies, they're not super present in like being in everybody's live streams and posting a bunch of stuff on Instagram. They're not involved. They don't have their foot into everything. And I think that can cause they have great products, but they're not widely known through the beer community as something that always pops up because they're not always pushing themselves into things.
I get that. And I will say from experience, his new Sterling line is fucking phenomenal. It responded great in my beard, and damn, it was a great beard day using that.
Yeah.
It really, truly was. All right, now, this one I like to ask a lot of people. What do you think is your biggest regret so far in the review game? What's that one thing that you look at and go, oh, crap, I shouldn't have done that?
I mean, I'll keep it right based on our conversation tonight because that's by far the biggest, and it's talking. Just trusting people to listen and just listen, and it go further than that. And I think then rumors and a whole bunch of crap get started. I don't regret anything with my channel or anything that I've done with my channel. I regret more so trusting and talking to people. And it's sad, honestly, because we should be able to trust people, but we can't, I guess. So I'd say that's like one of my biggest thing is just being able just to vent to somebody and leave it at venting to somebody. That's,
Yeah.
So
Now, you've answered the other ones. We've got this one that I've recently added. Do you think CBD in beard products is here to stay, or is it a fad?
I think it's here to stay, at least for midterm. I don't know if it's going to be here in 10, 15, 20 years, but I think, it's a hot commodity right now. I think some people are seeing benefits. I think more companies are jumping on board. I think some people are not seeing benefits based on the brand, but CBD and cannabis in general is a huge takeoff point, and I think companies will continue to. I think more and more companies are going to put. We're in the world that if you're not on board, you're falling behind. So I think a lot of companies.
Yeah.
I couldn't name one off the top of my head. I just think companies' hands are being forced to have CBD or lose sales. So before you know it, everything's going to be CBD until it turns around into they're getting enough people saying, I don't want CBD. I don't want CBD, to where they have to either maintain two lines or pick one. And then the trend goes, it's like balm. Balm was the big thing. And now it's like companies aren't even making bombs anymore because butter's out. And, you still have some people that are like, I won't buy from this company because they don't have balm anymore, And so it just happens to be that butter's the bigger trend. So they still make more than they lose more at this point. Is butter here forever? I don't think so. I think it'll evolve, and I think CBD as an ingredient is probably here for midterm at least.
Okay. Well, let's follow that one up, because I can start hearing my kids being little monsters downstairs, and I've got one that's not feeling well. So we're gonna wrap it up here in a moment. With CBD,
always wrap it up, kids. Always wrap it up. That's advice
right. When in doubt, wrap it twice. That's all I'm saying. But with CBD, do you feel, and this is your opinion because I know you've used different products than I have, do you feel it's the milligram dosage in the product, or do you feel like it's the supporting elements like the carrier oils or the butters that make it truly special? And I'll say why. I've only tried from 3 different companies. Well, yeah, 3 different companies. Nope, 4. I've tried Fables. I've tried Dan's collaboration with Natural Stress Solutions. I have tried Peak CBD, and I've tried Bandbox Fella. I had a different experience with all 4. And I wonder if it's the carrier oils or the milligram dosage. And that's something I'm trying to look into more. But what do you think?
Well, I'm the science type of person, so I first go to carrier oils. I mean, in anything you do, the percent ratio, so the milligrams or the percent that's in there, it definitely has an effect. I mean, if you only have 10 milligrams compared to 100, like, you're going to see a difference. But I think in just like fragrance and anything else, the carriers that you pair it with can help bolster the effects, or they can hinder the effects. But it also comes back to your personal preference in your beard. I know some people that like hemp seed oil and some people that can't stand hemp seed oil. Well, it's the same thing with
Right.
CBD, but not even just CBD, but the carrier oils that they put with it as a whole. It's kind of like aspirin, or what are they? Yeah, have a good night. But it's kind of like, you take you get a medication that you're prescribed, and they're like, don't take this within 2 hours of food, or you get another medication and they're like, take this with food because the food helps carry it. It's the same thing with CBD and carrier oils. All the carrier oils can interact together to produce something amazing, or they cannot. And I think that's why we're seeing beard products in general get better now, because we're, 2 years ago, we're so new in the beard world, and it seems like forever, but we're so new that 2 years ago, people were just buying carrier oils, dumping them together and being like, I have a beard oil. Now we're getting down to ratios and specifics and different types and which ones work together well and which ones don't. And it's forcing everybody to improve their blends and their carriers and their ratios. And now, you're starting to see just in the last couple of months people talking about, well, this carrier oil doesn't, I can't make my fragrances as strong because this carrier oil doesn't help fragrance. It actually kind of kills out fragrance. It doesn't carry it as long. And so it's the same way with CBD. It all comes down to science. And I just think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg of science and what works for everybody. And that's why I just keep hounding on the porosity side, because nothing's going to work in your beard if you're not putting the right type of products for the porosity of your beard hair. And then you still have other elements like the water that you use, the humidity and the air around you, and then your natural skin oils. How are they reacting with things? Long answer, but I know you were expecting that with me. So
right. I was shocked when you gave me the short answer to start the show. But like I said, I can hear my kids starting to do dumb things, so we're going to start shutting it down. I do this on the end of every show now, and guys, I know we've talked a huge thing about mental health tonight, but if you're struggling with something, reach out, talk to somebody. I can tell you from personal experience, sharing your burden helps. The person you talk to may not know what to do, may not know what to say, but the fact that they're there to listen is amazing. With what they're calling the new normal nowadays, with COVIDs and lockdowns and what was that? Like welcome to the 1 year of 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We've been living at home, working at home, eating at home, drinking at home, doing everything at home. Life is upside down. If you're thinking of doing something dumb, talk to somebody. And I leave everybody with this one challenge before we're going to get to Tyson and see what he's going to do. I leave everyone with this challenge. Call someone. Actually, call 3 people this week that you haven't talked to in a while. Just have a conversation. Just go, how you doing? Because you never know how that one call can change everything. If you can't call 3, call 2. Can't call 2, call 1. Make that call because you never know what you can do. But Tyson, I always ask everyone, what do you have coming up? What do you want to share? Anything you may want to add to anything?
Well, yeah, I'll share some closing comments here after I tell you what I have coming up. I don't have I don't know. Like my work schedule has gotten crazy. Family's pretty busy, so I know I got some reviews. I want to get some Bandbox Fella really bad. So that'll be coming here, and the new Damn Yankee stuff will be coming. Man Beard changed up their aloe in there, so that's what I'm currently testing. So that video will be out on Friday for Man Beard. But I say it on my channel a lot. It's on my website. It's been a slogan for a while. Is humans helping humans? And to reiterate what you said earlier, or just a little bit ago, a lot of times as guys, we feel like. Did you just notice how I said guys like Ben? Like
yeah,
it just naturally came out that way.
Right?
Oh, that was so weird. I think a lot of times as men, we take this big macho stance and we can't talk about our feelings and we don't want to talk about our feelings and we don't want help from anybody. We just want to handle things on our own. We don't need help. We're too big. We're too adult. We're too manly. We're too this. We're too that. And it's like, at the end of the day, we're not just men. We're not just adults. We're humans. And we need to help other humans. And we were born to be in community with other humans. So don't be afraid to reach out because you're a man. Don't be afraid to reach out because you don't need anybody else's help. Don't be afraid to talk about how you feel about things, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Just be a human and talk to another human and help yourself. And in that, I think you're helping the other person as well by letting them help you. Sometimes you're letting somebody else help you and you're doing them a favor, So, like Chris said, reach out, call some people. More importantly, take care of yourself. If you're feeling some way, if you have an icky feeling, please don't go to somebody else. Like if you have an icky feeling with Chris, go to Chris. If you have an icky feeling with me, come to me. Let's talk about it. Because the only way that any of the BS or any of that other stuff gets stopped is to just talk to the person that you have a problem with. And I think we can solve a lot of things just by using our words, not only with drama and BS, but with how we feel about things, with depression, with our children, with our spouses. And so, I'll try to not keep, I know your kids are not,
You're good.
so
You're good. Keep going.
I can go and talk forever, especially when you get me talking about something I'm super passionate about, which
but I got to put a mute function down below, so if it gets too long-winded, you're gonna be doing
just mute that guy. See you guys, cut off. No. No, that's what I really wanted to end with, is just remember, man, woman, child, adult, however you want to phrase whoever you are, we're all human beings, and we need to take care of each other and not be afraid to speak and talk and share our feelings with another human being.
I agree. But guys, as you all know, I usually talk about who's going to come on next week. I will say it like this. It is going to be the goofiest show I've ever done. It's going to be a lot of comedy, a lot of fun. I have a very good friend showing up, and it's going to be unlike anything anybody has ever done on YouTube.
Is it Jester?
No. God, I've been trying to get him on the show for a while.
See, you said comedy and fun and goofy, and my mind went to Ben right away, and then it went to Jester. So I was like, yeah, maybe it's Jester.
Yep, no, I've been trying to get Jester on for a while. Our schedules just don't seem to meet up, but I will eventually get him on. I will. And tomorrow, guys, I'm dropping a knife review, I believe it is. I know, big shocker, but still. I will be getting back into beard content soon. I just took a break from it to get away from a whole bunch of stuff, but that's just me. So, guys, I need to go put down a Kid Rebellion. We're going to hit that little outro. Tyson, thank you so much for coming on, brother. It was a blast.
Absolutely, man. Do you want me to stick around after this? Or
yeah, just hang around for a moment. Guys, thank you so much for the time you just gave me. I hope you enjoyed our guest tonight, if we had one, and yes, I'm pre-recording this, or that you might have enjoyed an open mic night or whatever the heck just happened. We're going to try to do these every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and whatever you guys are in between and around the world. Next week, we should have another amazing guest or something really cool for you to watch. Thanks so much for watching all this stuff, guys, and we'll see you in our next one.